Welcome to the Boneyard with Steve Robertson. As always, I am your good friend and host, Steve Robertson, here on the magnificent Monday edition of the Yard. What a good weekend of Bulldog athletics. It was a good weekend. Could have been a great weekend. I would venture to say it was a really good weekend because of the quality of a couple of wins we picked up and where the Lady Bulldogs ended up in the SEC standings. And so we're going to break down the weekend it was. I think you'll be happy with the results. Of course, Bulldogs take 2 of 3 from Arizona State. The one they lost, of course, quite the doozy there. That's one thing I'll say about this team. When we win, it's awfully fun. When we lose, we really lose. And that's the consistency piece that we're having to chase here. And Bulldogs will be back in action Tuesday night at Trustmark Park against Southern Miss. Hope you can turn out and make the game. The tickets are still available through the Trustmark Park ticket office. You got some berm tickets, even got some things in the grandstand. I'll be there. Mike Nemeth will be there. We'll be there to provide full coverage. I'm actually going to sit in the stands, and we'll do post-game. Don't know if I do the play-by-play article. I don't know. It's my wife's first game in a couple of years, and so I'm going to sit with her behind home plate and just kind of enjoy some college baseball, but we'll have full coverage. Mike, of course, will have the gamer, and we'll do the Chris Lamonis transcript, and I got some baseball coverage to come today as well, but not just a baseball weekend. Mississippi State men's basketball, what a huge, huge win for Chris Jans and the Bulldogs. We've all been excited, right? We needed that win to get us over the hump, and we've had some good ones. This may be the best one of the year because Texas A&M, arguably the hottest team in the conference at this point, and the Bulldogs protect the home court and win the ball game. We're going to break all that down. So much to talk about today. Glad you're with us. Hope you had a great weekend. So many good things that are happening right now in Mississippi State sports. And again, very, very honored and privileged to be able to cover that for all of you. At Duty Noble Field, I had several Boneyard listeners come up and say hello and tell me how much they enjoy the show. And thank you for doing that. That doesn't cost you anything, but means an awful lot to me. So thanks for the kind words. Let's thank our friends at Bulldog Burger Company. I'll be there at one point this week. I'm gonna eat at the grill tonight. Can't wait to eat at the grill. That's one of the things I asked my wife. I said, what's the first thing you want to do when you get back, other than just kind of unpack and reconnect and everything else? She said, I want to go get the Caribbean ribeye at the grill. So we're going to go knock that out tonight. And at one night this week, before we head to Frisco, we'll head down to Bulldog Burger Company, and we'll enjoy some of the fine cuisine available at Bulldog Burger Company here in Starkville. There are 3 great locations to serve you. University Drive here in Star Vegas, Gloucester Street there in Tupelo, and the Lake Harbor Drive location in the Ridge and Flowwood area. Go by and check them out. Have the spring rolls as your appetizer. They'll make you and everybody around you better looking. It's in writing, so you can trust that, right? And many of you need the spring rolls. Some of you, I can tell you've had spring rolls recently in your life because you look younger. You look more attractive. Not that I'm interested. I'm just telling you, your efforts are paying off. Get that great restaurant quality burger. You'll be glad you did. I'm leaning towards the freshman 15 when I go back. That's like, you know how it is. You kind of get in. I'm going to go here. What am I going to have? I'm one of those kind of people I could think ahead, right? Most of the people in my family can kind of, stick a foot in the ground and pivot. I like, maybe it's the addict in me coming out, but I'm already thinking, the freshman 15 sounds really good. Go by and have that or one of their great other restaurant quality hamburgers. You'll be glad you did. Get that chocolate shake to go. I'm a big proponent of dessert to go. Might even get that Shipley spread pudding to take with me because I'll get home and I'll think, you know what, I'd like a little palate cleanser, right? I love Bulldog Burger Company. You will too. Go by and check them out. We got some tap takeovers, and I understand the event last Thursday was really good. A lot of people went and took part in that, and that's a cool thing they're doing, and also allows, our brewers from the area a chance to kind of get out and give you the opportunity to sample those products. So again, when we announce those for you, be sure and go check them out when you're looking for something to do. That's a tap takeovers at Bulldog Burger Company. And a happy hour every day, of course. Go by and check it out. Maybe you need an adult beverage after a long day of work. Maybe you're pre-gaming for a bigger event. I don't know, but Bulldog Burger Company, always a great place to stop. Whether it be a night out with friends or a night out with family, they can take care of you. Great food at a great price. Outstanding service. Bulldog Burger Company, the place where people go to meet, M-E-A-T. All right, our top story. Mississippi State men's basketball takes care of Texas A&M. And we talked about it on the show. I said, we got a chance to win this ball game. And the longer this season went, the better opportunity Texas A&M presented for us. They were second in the SEC. And, of course, Alabama struggled with Arkansas for a while and ultimately went on to win the game. So Alabama's now clinched, I guess, at least a share of the SEC regular season crown. And I don't know what your feelings are about that. A lot of controversy around the Alabama program these days. It's kind of easy to root against them, to be quite honest with you. But our rooting interest is with Mississippi State. And what a huge win. I mean, an absolutely huge win. And it really felt like State controlled the game pretty much throughout. That was the exciting part of it is that you get a quality team to come into your arena, and over 9,000 people showed up to see it. Bulldogs had the lead at the break, 30-28, and it felt like, to be quite honest, that we should have been up more. We should have been up more. It seemed like we had outplayed them really throughout the first half. They make a little bit of a run late and kind of make it a better ball game. But State up by 9, right around the 13-minute mark, and it just kind of felt like we're kind of doing what we want to do. We're actually executing the offense pretty well here. And A&M, a very talented team, but we close out the half, really kind of futility on both sides. Neither team scored the final 3 minutes of the first half. And again, State led by as many as 9. And I don't believe we ever trailed in the first half. I'm just checking my notes here. But no, we did not trail the entire first half. And you got to think A&M, maybe they're looking ahead a little bit, but in this league you can ill afford to do that. We come out after the break, and A&M takes their first lead of the game with a 3-point basket from Dexter Dennis. And rather than fold, State comes right back. It's nip and tuck for a while. The Aggies got up by 6 at the 15-minute mark and then stretched it out to a 9-point lead when Andre Gordon rammed home a 3 at the 14-minute mark. And you're thinking, okay, well, this is it. This is when the Aggies make their run. But your Bulldogs have proven they're not going to go away. They're going to continue to fight. And lo and behold, you look up just under the 11-minute mark, and a Deshaun Davis basket gives Mississippi State the lead again. So we've overcome the big push there. Everybody makes a run in college basketball. We are able to sustain some things and get back on the positive side. And from there, it felt like, we're in pretty good shape. The big play for me is we're up 4, and Cam Matthews gets a steal, and we get it out front to DJ Jeffries, and DJ, with the heave, puts us up 6 under 4 minutes, and it just really felt like at that point we're going to be good. And it's an and-one situation. Former Bulldog Anderson Garcia, and listen, things didn't work out for him, but yeah, best game of the year for him in his return to Humphrey Coliseum. I don't have any ill will or ill feelings about Anderson Garcia. I know when he played for Mississippi State, that kid played with a lot of energy. He gave us a great effort. It just didn't work out. And, now he's at A&M and getting a chance to play on a team that's certainly bound for the tournament. And had he stayed here, probably he would have had the same opportunity because of the steps that we have taken as a program. But good on Anderson Garcia. DJ misses the free throw. And then we do some things here down the stretch. And we have kind of done this in epidemic proportions at times. When we're trying to close out ball games, sometimes we make some silly fouls, and this is one of them here. DJ fouls and gives them the opportunity to score without the clock running. And when you're trying to close out a game, you need the clock moving. They make both of their free throws to cut it to a 4-point game, and then lo and behold, we go back, run a half-court set, get the ball to Tolu, in for the basket, pushes us up to 6. It is an and-one situation. Tolu converts. It is now a 7-point lead with 3 minutes to play, or close to that. And then again, we foul again. And it's DJ. Again, we foul again. They make a free throw. We miss on a 3, but get the rebound after a defensive stop. And Shaquille Moore with a very acrobatic play here. He gets up there. I'm thinking he's going to drop the ball down to Tolu, but instead, with the shot clock winding down, he throws up a left-handed wing and a prayer, and it falls. And those are the times when you start thinking, this is just our day. When shots like that are falling, it's just your day. And, of course, that goes in. Shaquille eventually fouls out shortly thereafter. but it's an 8-point Bulldog advantage with 2 minutes to play. They convert both of those free throws, which cut it to 6. It's still a 2-possession game, and you think we're not out of the woods just yet. They have to foul us, and they foul Cam Matthews. And what have we said countless times on this show? Closing time is Cam time. At this point, I'm so absolutely confident when Cam Matthews steps to the line late in the ball game that we're going to be able to extend the lead. Him and Rams Davis both have just been money. And, of course, Tolu's had some big free throws late in ball games. But it just seems like Cam Matthews is so athletic in the open floor, they have to foul him. And now he's making teams pay for doing that. Sean Jones then fouls. I really thought this was a charge. I did not agree with the call. I thought the game was pretty well officiated. To me, it looked like Jones is set there. And they run in each other and knock knees. But they call it a foul. They make both of the free throws. So now, again, it's a 2-point possession, 2-point game, 2-possession game, with 1:30 to go. We miss, I would hate to call it a bunny, but it's a shot that Tolu will probably tell you that he should make. We miss it there. It gives them an opportunity. They miss the 3, get an offensive rebound, put it back up, cut it to 4, and then they're forced to foul again. And it's Cam Matthews again. And he makes them both. Pushes it back to a 6-point lead just over a minute to go, and then we foul. This time it's Cam Matthews. And it's almost like the officials are kind of looking for this. I mean, why would we be wanting to foul late? I mean, it's not worth writing an article about, but it seems like they get a little bit whistle happy late in ball games. And I understand the team that's trailing needs to foul. We don't need to foul. And sometimes we are fouling, but other times it seems like these fouls are rather ticky-tack. I mean, some of these fouls, before the ball is inbounded and things like that, I don't know. I mean, maybe it's worth looking into. I don't know what we gain from it, but it just seems like late in ball games, they're looking for us to foul. Like I don't know. I'm not trying to allege a conspiracy here, but it seems like some of these fouls that maybe wouldn't be called during the flow of a regular basketball game are getting called in the final 4 minutes of a game. Henry Coleman III knocks them both down. So, again, it's a 4-point game right at the 1-minute mark. Tolu turns it over. This is big, but then Sean Jones with a huge steal here gets the ball back, and, of course, we're able to make them work deep into the shot clock. And that's, again, the Chris Jans thing. I mean, when you go play the Chris Jans coach team, you better bring a lunch because we are going to be in your face. We're going to defend well. And we force a turnover here. They're forced to foul. Tolu makes 1 of 2, but now it's a 5-point game with 26 seconds to go. And they turn the ball over again. Tyrese Radford this time turns it over. And they're forced to foul, and they foul Cam Matthews. So what is it? Cam Matthews, 6 big free throws in the final minutes of this game to put it away. State ultimately wins by 7. Huge, huge, huge win. If you've been on the fence about Bulldog basketball, just waiting for them to break your heart, I think you can go ahead and get off the fence. I think it's okay to get behind this team. Bulldogs now 19-10 overall, 7-9 in the conference. A&M drops to 21-8, 13-3 in the conference. When we got through the non-conference schedule, we're thinking A&M's just going to be another team. We kind of just accepted this game. This would be one at home that State should win. Lo and behold, they catch fire in conference play. We ultimately win the game, but it proved to be a much higher quality win than maybe we anticipated back during the non-conference portion of the schedule. All right, Wade Taylor IV has 21 points to lead the Texas A&M Aggies. Henry Coleman III with 11. And then Anderson Garcia off the bench. Again, congratulations to Anderson, even in a loss. 11 points for him, pulls down 4 rebounds. He ultimately did foul out of the game. But, again, no ill will at all. The game was tied 3 times. The lead changed hands just 4 times, and all that really in the second half there. Tolu with a great game for us, 17 points, 6 rebounds, 5 of 8 from the free throw line. Shaquille Moore, 14 points, 4 rebounds, and he did foul out late. And it'd been nice to have had him late because he's another guy, too. It's a pretty skilled free throw shooter. Cam Matthews, 11 points in the ballgame, 5 rebounds, and, of course, 6 of those coming at the line as State's trying to close this thing out. DJ Jeffries had that one big emphatic play to kind of put this thing away. 9 points for him, 6 rebounds. Did a lot of the grunt work. Did not convert on a 3-point basket, 0 of 5 from beyond the 3-point line. Deshaun Davis, 30 minutes of action, just 6 points, but knocks down a couple big free throws. Also had 3 steals to lead the team. Sean Jones, again, giving you good minutes off the bench in 14 minutes, 6 points for him. Eric Reed Jr., still getting a lot of minutes. And you just feel like at some point he's going to have another breakout game. He's had some big threes at times, but the reality is his shooting has been a little bit elusive for him here in recent weeks. But give Christian some credit. He's had him on the floor in some big moments, some big defensive possessions, and Eric has come through. Just 5 points on the offensive end. Tyler Stevenson has seen his minutes reduced a little bit here as of late. I think that's really more about matchups. Just 4 minutes for him. Will McNair, a dozen minutes, did not score, but did pull down 2 rebounds. 3-point shooting, a bit of an adventure for State. 3 of 21. Eric Reed makes 1 of 4. Shaquille Moore, 2 of 6. The rest of the team, 0 for 11. That's not good. We're going to have to do better there. And DJ's getting some looks. He's got to be able to knock those things down. Bulldogs 20 of 30 from the line. And then 31 rebounds for State, which was even with A&M. You can live with that. State shot 44.2% as a team. And again, it's 14.3% from beyond the arc, right at 67% from the free throw line. 34 points in the paint for the Bulldogs, 13 points off turnovers, 12 second chance points, 14 fast break points, and a dozen points off the bench. All right, so what's next for Mississippi State? Well, we talked about how important last week was. And like, man, if we could just find a way to get a split. Well, we did a little bit better than that, to say the least. That's an exciting part of this. It's like, we lose that tough game in Missouri. We felt like we should have won. We did get a split, and then you beat A&M. So we do get the split we need. So South Carolina comes in Tuesday night for senior night. We need a huge crowd. I know it's a Tuesday night and it's a late tip. It's 8 p.m. The game will be broadcast on the network. But if you're in the area, please turn out. It's the last home game at the Hump. A lot of discussion. This will be Tolu Smith's last game at Humphrey Coliseum. But we need it up. We absolutely need a W. I think we're in. We're still like in that last 4 in type thing. If you can win these last 2, I think you remove all doubt. And, of course, you win a game in a tournament. Of course, you don't have to worry about that. But as of now, we're in. South Carolina has not been good. Hey, Bulldog friends, our friends from Indeed are back, and they are absolutely better than ever. Indeed is the hiring platform where you can attract, interview, and hire candidates all in one place. Your time is valuable. Don't waste multiple hours on multiple job sites looking for candidates with the right skills when you can do it all with Indeed. Find the top talent with Indeed's suite of powerful hiring tools like the Indeed Instant Match option, their assessments, and virtual interviews. You hate waiting? Indeed's U.S. data shows over 80% of Indeed employers find quality candidates whose resume on Indeed matches their job description exactly the moment they sponsor a job. How cool is that? The best thing about Indeed, too, is, listen, these are names you know. These are people that you can trust. They know that you're trying to grow your own business. You got to make every dollar count. That's why with Indeed, you only pay for quality applications that match your must-have job requirements. Indeed knows hiring needs to be cost-effective when you're running your own business, and many of you are. Put Indeed to work for you today. Visit Indeed.com/boneyard to start hiring now. Just go to Indeed.com/boneyard. Terms and conditions may apply. Cost per application. Pricing not available for everyone. You need to hire. You need Indeed. Simple as that. Hey, Bulldog fans, you want to win like your dogs do? It all boils down to recruiting. It's not just about development. It all starts with recruiting. The same is true in business. It's as simple as that. You need to recruit more MVPs to be a part of your business to help you win. Because if you're hiring, you need Indeed, because Indeed is the hiring partner where you can attract, interview, and hire all in one place. It's probably their best feature. Indeed is the only job site where you're guaranteed to find quality applicants that meet your must-have requirements, or else you don't even have to pay. Instead of spending hours upon hours combing through multiple job sites, hoping to find the right candidates with the right skills, you need one powerful hiring partner that can help you do it all. That's Indeed. They partner with you every step of the process, find great talent through time-saving tools like the Indeed Instant Match, assessments, and virtual interviews. With Instant Match, as soon as you sponsor a post, you get a short list of quality candidates with resumes on Indeed that match your specific job description, and you can invite them to apply right away. Plus, you only pay for the quality applications that meet your requirements. How about that? Recruiting's never been easier. Start hiring right now with a $75 sponsored job credit to upgrade your job post at Indeed.com/Boneyard. That offer's valid through March 31st. Go to Indeed.com/Boneyard to claim your $75 credit before March 31st. Again, that's Indeed.com/Boneyard. Some terms and conditions apply. But you need to hire, you need Indeed. Be sure and check them out today. You'll be absolutely glad you did. We all know it. Went up there and beat them in Columbia earlier this year. And at our place, we've been a very difficult team to compete against. So, again, this should be a game that we win. But looking quickly ahead at South Carolina here, it has not been the year that many of them had hoped for. Maybe it's the year people expected. They're 10-19 overall, just 3-13 in the conference. They've lost 2 in a row. They're a 4-7 true road team, and then lost 4 games on a neutral floor. So away from their home arena, they're 4-11. There's no reason to think they should come in here and beat us. But we can't just get set, sit back and get fat and go eat a fish sandwich behind a tree with our girlfriend, to borrow a phrase. But this has not been a good team. Beginning of the year, you start looking, hey, they knocked down a couple things here and there. They even beat Clemson. They go to that Charleston Classic. They lose all 3 games to the powerhouses, Colorado State, Davidson, and Furman. They lose to Furman by 19 points. Craziness. All right, we'll skip ahead here. Big win at Georgetown, I guess. I mean, that's more of a helmet sticker type win. Georgetown really hadn't been the same here in recent years. They open up with an overtime loss to Vanderbilt in Nashville. They get absolutely drilled by Tennessee, 85-42. They win at Rupp, 71-68. And that's the thing. That's been the curse of Kentucky. Even though they have played exceptionally well here, really since they beat Mississippi State, they've played really well. But Carolina goes in there and gets the dub. They get beat, again, drilled by Texas A&M at home, 94-53. Ole Miss gets them by a dozen. Auburn gets them by 15 points. Florida, down there in Gainesville, gets them by 21. They lose at Georgia in overtime by 3, and we know it's been a tough venue for a lot of people to go play in. And then we get them by 15 in their place, and then they lose by 2 to Arkansas. They lose at Missouri by 9. Ole Miss gets them. They beat Ole Miss in Oxford 64-61, and you may have heard Kermit Davis fired at Ole Miss, probably the least surprising news of the SEC basketball season. 75-64 losers to Vanderbilt again. So Vanderbilt sweeps the season series. They go to LSU and break their schneid, and they beat LSU. And, man, what a rough year it's been in Baton Rouge. They come back and they have a little juice here, and they take Alabama to overtime at home and lose by 2. Probably not the game many people expected with all the distractions in Tuscaloosa. It's not, the least bit surprising and perhaps that Alabama would be a little bit disjointed. They back up that great effort by going to Tennessee and losing by 40. And so they'll head to Humphrey Coliseum now with 2 games left. And, of course, the only chance they have to make the postseason is to win the SEC tournament. They have shown no semblance of being that caliber of team. So we have got to take care of business here. Real quickly here, it's been a while since we looked at South Carolina. Gregory Jackson leads the team with 15.7 points per game. Meechie Johnson with just over a dozen. Hayden Brown with 11. Nobody else in double-figure scoring. But this has not been a great team, averaging just 64.1 points a game, allowing 72. And the way that Mississippi State defensed them last time, you would expect them to be under their scoring average. Now, they got nothing left to lose. They're coming out just kind of playing for the love of the game. But the reality of it is Mississippi State is trending in a much different direction. This is a game we can ill afford to lose. It's a game that we'll be expected to win. It's a game we should win. And quite simply, it's a game we have to win. Our resume is good, not great, so we can ill afford to have a bad loss like this and hurt ourselves as we kind of, push ahead here. Really, in many respects, I think, if we're being honest here, in a surprising season. That's the thing that's so exciting. And again, we've talked about on the show, what is Chris Jans going to do when he gets a couple of scores on the offensive end? I mean, this is a team, as hard as they fight, as tough as they defend, this is not an exceptionally talented team. And I'm not saying that to be negative about the current roster. That's just kind of the reality of where we are. But Jans and the staff are getting more from the players that returned, and they found a way to kind of, meld this thing together and put yourself in a good situation. And here you are, again, late February, we're talking about an NCAA tournament bracket. It's amazing the job the guy's done. He won't get the job, he won't get the honor, but Chris Jans deserves some Coach of the Year mentions. He does. And again, I don't think he'll get it. Nate Oates may get it, but there may be some people that vote against him because of the recent controversy. Maybe that's part of the deal. But I'm very happy with our coach. I know you guys are as well. And it's not just about liking somebody and say they're a good person. The future is going to be great. I think you feel really good about where things stand right now. All right, looking at the SEC standings, of course, Alabama 15-1 with 2 games to play. So again, they have clinched a share. A&M, of course, could win out and Alabama could lose out, and then they would share the title. But I don't foresee that happening. Alabama's won 3 in a row. Kentucky 11-5, 2 games behind A&M. So I guess it's conceivable A&M could lose out, and Kentucky could win out, and Kentucky could be the 2 in the tournament. Tennessee 10-6, and by the way, Kentucky's won 4 in a row. Missouri now 9-7. They're tied with Auburn and Vanderbilt. And Arkansas's 8-8. We're right there at 7-9. So again, that Vanderbilt game is not going to be, and again, going to Nashville, that's not going to be a game you look at and say, you know what, we're certain to win that game. We got to take care of South Carolina, but that Vanderbilt game this weekend could be a really good one. Could be. I hope it's not. I hope we go up there and make those guys exceptionally uncomfortable and find a way to maybe catch them in the standings. But when you start, looking through this thing now, you begin to realize that there's a handful of teams behind us, but we were so far behind. We have caught up in many respects is because of the fact that you got a good coaching staff that refused to let the team mail it in. Not that you had young men ready to do that, but what a great job by the staff to keep everybody engaged. Said, hey guys, listen, I know we're going to play Alabama and Tennessee twice in the first half of the SEC schedule, but hang in here with us because we're going to have some manageable games late. I mean, State could conceivably finish 500 in the league. Think about that. You're 7-9 right now. You should beat South Carolina, and it's a toss-up game advantage. You win both of those games, you're 9-9. Exceptional. Tied with Mississippi State, of course, is Florida. They beat us head-to-head, so in a tiebreaker situation, they would get the better bracket seeding. Then there's Georgia, Ole Miss, South Carolina, and LSU. LSU 2-14. Ugh. 13-16 overall. There are 3 teams in this conference that have an overall losing record. That's Ole Miss, South Carolina, and LSU. And there are so many people in all these places that are really disengaged. And, nothing is better for business than a coaching search or a championship. Neither of those teams are going to have that. But Ole Miss, of course, now looking to replace Kermit Davis. So there'll be some juice around that. A lot of talk about Chris Beard. I mean, I don't know how you feel about that, but he was exonerated of those charges. But that's a name that's been mentioned in connection with Ole Miss. So that's something to watch, too. But the SEC tournament's going to be a lot of fun. But here we are, the last week of the regular season, and your Bulldogs firmly in the conversation for the NCAA tournament. In the beginning of the year, I think if we were all fair with ourselves, we'd say, you know what, we're probably an NIT team this year, probably. And in year one, that's probably good. And yes, we were an NIT team last year and lost in the first round. But the reality of it is, you flip the roster over, and you thought, you know what? If we can post a winning record and get in the postseason and lay the groundwork for next year, we'll feel pretty good about the direction of our program. And now here you are on the cusp of 20 wins and a potential 500 finish in the SEC. Exceptional job by Chris Jans and his team. Exceptional job. So we'll look forward to hopefully getting a dub against South Carolina on Tuesday, and then we'll see how things look, with Vanderbilt. Kind of looking at their schedule, too, because, again, they're 2 games ahead of us. We'll see how things look here. But Vanderbilt will play at Kentucky. Should be a loss, and then they'll host us. And so we could catch them in the standings. If we win out and they lose out, and that looks like a real possibility, it may not be a probability, but I don't expect them to go to Rupp and win. But they could. I mean, South Carolina did, right? But you begin to think about that kind of leapfrogging some teams here. Arkansas is 8-8. You think they're happy with that? They shouldn't be. So you got a chance to move. in the meaty part of the middle of this league. And we'll see how things progress and develop. But the fact that State is even in this conversation is a remarkable development. All right, time for today's top 10 list. As always, brought to you by closewithblair.com. If you're unfamiliar, go familiarize yourself. Go to closewithblair.com. That's C-L-O-S-E with Blair, B-L-A-I-R.com. And you'll be glad you did. Blair is a mortgage professional, been in the industry 21 years, top 1% close ratio back-to-back years in the country, not just in Issaquah County. We're talking in and on national mortgage lending institutions, right? Works at Fairway Mortgage, recently voted number 1 in customer satisfaction. Reach out to Blair for your mortgage needs, whether it be a refi, a new purchase, whatever you're looking for, Blair can handle. He's seen it all and done it all. You need a professional working on something as important as your mortgage. There are a lot of things you can kind of cut corners on. Your mortgage isn't one of them. 601-500-2344. 601-500-2344. That is Blair's personal cell number. You can call or text him today. You don't have to, sit on hold or go through a receptionist or anything like that. You can go directly to Blair. And if you mention to him you heard about him on the Boneyard, he's going to pay for your appraisal. That's about a $500 value. A lot of people want your business. Blair's willing to prove it. Again, that's closewithblair.com. Your proud sponsor of the top 10 list. Okay, so today we decided to go with a classic American rock band that we haven't addressed yet. And I sent this to Roy, and Roy's like, oh, that's a good audible. Hadn't thought about them in years. It's a band that originated in the 1970s. They've sold over 40 million records. They're in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. Fronted by one of the best female singers, perhaps of all time. I'm talking about Blondie and Debbie Harry. The very ultra-talented, ultra-beautiful Debbie Harry. Done some acting as well. But she got her start, of course, basically in kind of a new wave punk band. There were times early on in the catalog that Blondie was kind of unsure of their direction. They did some things that were kind of reminiscent of some 50s doo-wop and things like that, and kind of some Lover's Lament stuff, and then they kind of found their groove. And so we're going to do a top 10 today. The first single was a song called Ex-Offender. It was originally called Sex Offender, but they knew that it wouldn't get on the radio with that title. So be sure and maybe check that out. We'll throw an honorable mention at that one. But Blondie had a lot of top 40 radio hits in the 1980s, especially in the early 80s. Just really 6 albums before they disbanded. They reunited, had some success, but in many respects kind of became a nostalgia act. Not a lot of big hits after the reunion there. So we're going to go back to what I believe is the heyday of Blondie. Number 10, from the album Plastic Letters, it's a track called I'm Always Touched by Your Presence. And this is a song, too, where they really began to get a little more alternative in their delivery. And that's the thing about Blondie, too. A lot of diversity in the catalog. You can hear pretty much whatever you want at some point. But I think they were kind of a fringe punk band. I mean, people called them a punk band. They had that punk attitude. They were probably a little bit more polished than many of their contemporaries. All right, the final album of the heyday is an album called The Hunter, and the track War Child, which became a bit of a hit in the club scene. They had a lot of success in Europe, a ton of success in Europe. And this was one of those songs, too, that was kind of a mainstay, especially in the London club scene. All right, from the great album Eat to the Beat, and some people consider this the top album in the Blondie catalog. I don't. I think it's probably the second best album. But it's a track called Dreaming. Number 8, Dreaming. In my estimation, the best Blondie album is Parallel Lines. And that's where we're going to go with our number 7 song. It's Hanging on the Telephone. And a lot of references in that are dated, like using a phone booth, right? It's interesting, too. You talk to young people today, and they don't understand the struggle we had, having to use mom and dad's room to call your girlfriend. Talk to your friends on the phone. Most of us didn't have a phone in our rooms. You had one phone for the whole house. I remember in the old phone books, that's something that they don't do anymore. They don't print phone books. But it would say, hey, Steve and Dana Robertson, and then beneath it would say children's phone, where you could call, the kids. We never had that at our house. We had two phones, one in the master bedroom, one in the living room or the kitchen area. And everybody used to say, hang up the phone. Nowadays, people are like, why do you say hang up the phone? Well, we had to hang it on the hook. I'm from the 1900s. Not the Alexander Graham Bell era, but things have changed a lot when it comes to telecommunications. But hanging on the telephone, number 7 from the great album Parallel Lines. Going back to Eat to the Beat, it's a great song, Atomic. This one maybe didn't have the commercial success in the United States that it did in Europe, but it's a great track. And I think if you're unfamiliar with that, because the rest of the songs on this list are going to be songs that you're probably very familiar with, but Atomic is a kind of a sleeper in the catalog. I think you'll be happy with it when you check it out. All right, back to Parallel Lines, and I can still see this. I can still see my dad riding around listening to this on the radio, kind of being goofy and silly as dads always are, but it's one way or another. And the song comes off a little stalkerish when you look at it through today's lens. One way or another, I'm gonna get you. Yeah, one way or another, I'm gonna find you. It's like there's all this. Nowadays, you couldn't say that sort of stuff. It sounds kind of obsessive. It's funny how sensitive people have got. They say we've become more progressive and accepting as a society, but we've become extremely sensitive. All right, number 4 from Auto American, it's The Tide is High, and I'm rolling on. I'm going to be your number 1. Well, this one is not only number 4 on our list, but this was a huge hit, and Debbie Harry, I think, good vocal performance on this one, much different than the rest. Kind of got that island feel to it. Of course, a song called The Tide is High, you'd expect some of that. All right, number 3, sticking with the Auto American album, it's the great song Rapture. Now, what's interesting about Rapture, this is a huge song for references. It is believed that the first, rap that was actually recorded and played on American radio is in this song from one Debbie Harry. And she also mentions Fab Five Freddy, who was the initial host of Yo MTV Raps. Fab Five Freddy was a legend in the East Coast rap game. And so he gets a shout out here in the song. And it's interesting, the evolution of rap and the fact that it goes back in some respects to Blondie. And it was Blondie and Debbie Harry kind of throwing a bone to a rising genre. Maybe you didn't know that. You learned something today. All right, number 2. And, there used to be this thing, I guess nowadays that's what I call music or whatever, and there's 10,000 of them. But we used to get these compilation records. Again, I'm from 1900s. That's all we had at the time was 45s or 33s. And they would have these albums that would come out, and there'd be a compilation album. And I had a record somewhere. I don't remember the name of the record. But this song, Heart of Glass, also from the Parallel Lines album, was on that. And so I had this song on vinyl. And do you remember going to the skating rink and it seemed like Heart of Glass was played every time we went? It's a great track. It is. And I love the falsetto on it. I think Debbie Harry does a great job vocally on it. I don't know that she gets enough credit. There's sometimes, too, as beautiful as she is, I think sometimes maybe she didn't get enough credit for her vocal skill. She's a phenomenal performer. And even if she was average looking, she would be just as good a performer. And the fact that she's beautiful made her more of commercial success because they put her on the album cover and the promotional pictures and things like that. But in no way should anybody ever undersell Debbie Harry as a vocalist. Number 1 for me, and it's probably the song that maybe has the most attitude. And this is actually off the American Gigolo motion picture soundtrack. You're probably looking for it and you're wondering where it's from. That's where it's from. It's the great song Call Me. I love it. I think it's Debbie Harry's shining moment. I think there are a lot of great songs in the catalog. To me, this is the best one. So number 1, Call Me. And again, the guitar riff on this too, back in those days, we couldn't play distortion on the radio. But this one was a little more in your face compared to a lot of the contemporary songs that were out at the time. But again, Blondie, 40 million records sold. in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. And again, we talk about the femme fatale, right? The great female singer that can kind of do it all and has it all. And Debbie Harry is like that. She was not just eye candy by any stretch of the imagination. She had some real grit to her, and she's done a lot of exceptional things with her career. It's pretty amazing to think about that in hindsight. And the fact that that we're only talking about this, we're just finally getting to Blondie, is really kind of an indictment on me and Roy. But glad to have done it. And I guess in some respects you would call them a new wave band. Maybe that's a label that really sticks. But they had a lot of international success. And again, from 74 to 82, you could hear Blondie on the radio pretty regularly. And then they reunited in 97, and they're still out touring. But again, they're really pretty much a nostalgia act. They'll put some new stuff in the set list, but it's not exactly what you'd expect. But again, that Parallel Lines album was really kind of the breakout for them. They had some kind of niche success, but in 78, when Parallel Lines hit, next thing you know, it's a #1 record around the globe, really. And Heart of Glass was really the one it was really the big single for them. And then things kind of picked up. Things really picked up from there. And of course, they benefited from MTV. MTV was not alive in the 70s, but once MTV came, Blondie, of course, was an established headliner in their genre, and you had the very commercial and marketable look of Debbie Harry, so she was perfect for MTV, and really kind of perfect in many respects for the video format. And so pretty amazing act. And again, I think a lot of people maybe underscored the fact that Debbie Harry had some punk influence in what she did. So there you go, top 10 list from Blondie. Didn't think we were going to get there today, did you? If you have ideas for the top 10 list, reach out to me or Roy. Roy is better, I'll be honest with you. Roy's not as forgetful as me. You can find Roy on Twitter at Dogmatic67. That's DAWGMATIC67. DMs are always open. And let him know what you're thinking. And sometimes people will hit him up asking for lists, and we've already done them. He's happy to send them to you when he has time. But a lot of you have reached out and said, what, Steve, I love a top 10 list. I love a lot of older people say, hey, thanks for paying tribute to these artists that I grew up with. And there's some younger people who are like, hey, my parents listened to this. I didn't, maybe pay as close attention. But on the top 10 list, I've been able to kind of see that they were more than one-hit wonders. It's been a while since we've done a one-hit wonder list, too. Maybe we can look into that. Maybe Roy can put that down for us. Maybe we'll look at like one-hit wonders for decades for a while. But Blondie, again, a Hall of Fame act that we hadn't done in a while. We've had done ever. I don't know if I've ever mentioned Blondie on the show before. Maybe we haven't. So I'll wear it. It's my fault. But again, check them out. You'll be glad you did. And as always, find our great list on Spotify. Again, you can find Roy at Dogmatic67 there too. Be sure and check that out today. All right, next segment of the show brought to you by Campus Bookmart. As always, Campus Bookmart, a Starkvillian institution. Be sure and check them out today. You'll be glad you did. Go by and see their smiling faces as often as possible because of the fact that the Bully Shop has been completely renovated. No longer the textbook business. Everything is upstairs now. You don't have to walk downstairs. Very easy access to get to everything you want to get to. If you can't make it to town, let me encourage you to visit them on the World Wide Web, courtesy of Al Gore's internet at campusbookmart.net. And by being a loyal Boneyard listener, we'll give you a phrase that pays. That's BSR, which stands for Beautiful Steve Robertson. That gets you free shipping on all orders over $75. Any order less than $75, absolutely incomplete. If you're looking for the Mike Leach stuff, like the Leach mock necks or crew necks, the hoodies, the sweatshirts, you can find them there. And again, that's accessible to you as a consumer, but it's allowable at every Mississippi State sporting event. Nobody's going to look at you silly for that. I mean, if you wear a basketball jersey to a baseball game, you might get some dirty looks. You wear a football jersey to a baseball game, you may get some dirty looks. You wear a baseball jersey to the hump or to a football game, you may get some dirty looks. So outfit your family with sport-specific and appropriate apparel. And you can always just get those generic Mississippi State athletic shirts too, or just Bulldogs, whatever. You can get something you can wear to everything at campusbookmart.net. All right, let's talk a little baseball here. Friday was miserable. It was miserable. And not just because of the game, our reaction to the game, which a lot of that's justified. I mean, because we had that poor game on Tuesday against Louisiana Monroe, and it's like, Steve, we just can't seem to win 2 in a row. We beat VMI, we lose to VMI, we beat them, lose to Louisiana Monroe, beat Louisiana Monroe, then we lose to Arizona State. And when we lose big. And that's the thing that frustrates people, because we look forward to this all year long. We take so much pride in Mississippi State baseball. And to see us get absolutely shelled, 3 times in the first half dozen games, it doesn't sit well, especially considering we're coming off a losing record last year. We don't want to have this, well, here we go again feeling. But that's how it felt Friday. It was miserable. It was. I absolutely could not wait to leave. And I love Mississippi State baseball, but it's like, I know it's a long season, but when you're sitting there and you're getting beat, and it's not just getting beat, you're kind of gifting the game away. You know what I mean? Because we couldn't pitch. We couldn't pitch, and you look up and it's 13-0, man. I mean, it's like, what? How does this happen? How does this happen to Mississippi State baseball? Well, it did. And it started early. We give up a leadoff home run to make it a 1-0 ball game. And the only reason it wasn't 1-0 a pitch before is he was just a little bit out in front. He crushed that ball. And Cade was not good. And Cade Smith was probably our most reliable pitcher last year. He was not good on Friday. Later in the inning, they score on a pass ball. Not good. Not good. And again, a chance to get out of this, and we don't. And then we give up a sac fly here, RBI, makes it a 3-0 ball game. So it's 3-0 before we even get in the dugout. And that's the thing too. We can't keep chasing the ball game. At some point we've got to be able to get a lead and kind of manage the lead. We go 1-2-3 in the first there. In the second, Arizona State comes right back out there, and Crenshaw, who the number 2 hitter in their lineup, hits a bomb too. It's a 2-run shot. Now it's 5-0. And I started tracking all this, and we can look back at it now. But Cade Smith, part of his success last year was the ability to throw first pitch strikes and get ahead. And the first time through the order, I think he got ahead of 2 hitters. And there was one stretch there where it was 8 consecutive first pitch balls. That's just not Cade Smith. It's not. We know what he's capable of. Is he an elite Friday night guy? Not yet. But the guy gets out there and competes. And the fact that he was throwing so many first pitch balls has me a little bit concerned. Now, I expect him to bounce back. And he was pretty good against VMI. It wasn't great. He was pretty good. But he wasn't good against Arizona State. And I don't think it's just because of the quality of the Arizona State player. I just think Cade wasn't right. And every great player has an off day. And that's what I hope that's what the situation is. But we absolutely could not get ahead. I go back, looking at this second inning of work here. Every single player in this frame for Arizona State got a first pitch ball. Every one. 6 guys came to the plate. Every one of them started out no worse than 1-0. True story. And you can't win that way. You can't keep getting behind hitters. Not against Power 5 competition. Just can't. Our bottom of second, State goes 1-2-3 again. Cade bounces back there in the third, and we get a 1-2-3 inning. But 2 of those 3 guys, first pitch balls. It was Hill flying out on 0-1 that snapped the streak there. Our bottom of third, State finally gets a little bit going. We get our first hit of the ball game. Ross Highfield with a single. And then Lang gets on a fielding error, and you think, okay, we've got 2 men on with 1 down. Let's make something happen. We don't. We go quietly, and that's for the top of the order. Amani and Colton Ledbetter both didn't come through there. And so we strand a couple. Top of the 4, they get to us again, and Cade walks Contreras, who can really play. I don't know if you watched the game, but Nua Contreras is from Hawaii, plays third base for Arizona State. I don't know if we'll see a third baseman better than him this year. That kid is so good. He makes everything look easy. I was so impressed with him. And again, I know he didn't have the big offensive numbers that some of the other guys did, but Nua Contreras, a phenomenal third baseman. Well, he walks, and then we hit the leadoff hitter, Keishel, And so they pull Smith. We bring in Casey Hunt. We immediately get a K swinging here, and then it's a walk to load the bases. Then there's a fielder's choice here, and we couldn't turn two. They score. And then there's another infield hit. They score again. So it's 7-0. And then we get Will Rogers. Not that Will Rogers, but Casey gets Will Rogers to K. But it's a 7-0 game midway through the fourth. State's still not ready to score. Even though we got some things going here. We get a one-out walk from Hancock. And then Hunter Hines doubles to left center. So we have runners at second and third with 2 outs. We need the big hit. Dakota Jordan walks to load the bases, and then Ross Highfield strikes out swinging. We got to get the big hit there. And listen, I'm not in any way being critical of Ross. He's been outstanding. I think you all see what I see with him, what I saw in the preseason. He is going to be a great player at Mississippi State, and he's already making a contribution. So I'm not being critical of him, but in that situation, we got to be able to come through here, especially in a 7th ball game. So they survive that threat. In top of 5, they blow the game open. Absolutely blow the game. We keep KC in there, and maybe it's a mop-up situation. Maybe we're just going to let him kind of work through things. We open out well enough. We work it full, but we get a K swinging. Then there's a single from Hill, and then there's a throw in there. We throw the ball away. Goes to second. Contreras singles. Keishel singles. It's 8-0. Crenshaw singles. Loads the bases again. Campos is walked. Long is walked. We've walked in back-to-back runs. We pull Casey Hunt. It's 10-0, and we bring in Tapper, who has been good. It's kind of a freak thing here, but it's a triple down the line, the first base line, all 3 runs score. He bounces back and gets back-to-back Ks to get us out of it, but it's 13-0. In the 5th inning, it's 13-0. It's nuts, man. Drives you crazy. State gets a leadoff walk from Forsythe. We quickly erase that with a double play, and then Ledbetter K's looking. So nothing really doing for State in the 5th. Tapper stays in and gets a 1-2-3 inning. In the 6th, bottom of 6, State finally starts to get some things done, but the game is decided at this point. You're not going to come back from 13 down in the final 4 innings against a Power 5 team, with rare exception. Bryce Chance flies out. Hancock walks. Alford then pops up to second. So a little bit of a 2-out rally here. Hines singles back up the middle on first pitch. Jordan walks again, and he struggles at times recognizing spin, but he is patient enough to let you walk him. Heifel is then hit by the pitch, which forces in a run, our first run of the game. They review the play, and it was legit. And then Forsythe singles to the left side and gets a couple of RBIs, makes it 13-3. And Lane had his best weekend of the young season this weekend. Started barreling some balls up and comes through here. Larry then grounds out to short. Amani, not a great game on Friday. Top of 7. Tapper's back out there. We open up with a walk. We had a K and a fly out, give up a single, and then rather than yield, we dig down deep and we get a strikeout of Jackson. So we kind of keep the game where it is. Bottom of 7, State breaks through again, but again, it's a little too late. Ledbetter flies out. Chance strikes out swinging. So again, a 2-out rally here, and it's Luke Hancock in the middle of it. Single to the right side, advances on a wild pitch, and then Slade Alford doubles to left, and Luke comes around to score. Hines walks, and then Dakota strikes out swinging, but it's now a 13-4 ball game. Top of 8, we get up a single, then a pop-up. There's a fielder's choice where we retired the guy at second, and then Crenshaw singles where we hold the guy there at second, too, can't advance. And then what do? We gift them the pass ball and allows them both to move up. And then Campos grounds out. So despite the fact that we had a couple mistakes there, we're able to overcome that. Bottom of the 8th, we go 1-2-3. We had a fielding error that allowed Forsythe to reach. And then Amani grounds into a double play. Again, not a great game for Amani. Playing hard, putting the ball in play. Not being critical, but that's part of it. But Brock Tapper does a good job kind of keeping the game where it was as best he could. And again, these young pitchers, the future of our program is in those young arms. Cole Cheatham comes in, gets a K swing, and there's a walk, and then he gets a Tapper back to the mound, and we get an out there, and then we get a K swinging. So nice outing for Cheatham. Bottom of 9, State tries to make it a little bit interesting here. We're pinch hitting a lot, but ground out to third. There's a walk. We K swinging, and there's a single to left from Nate Chester, and then Hines grounds out. And that's your ball game. 13-4. Brutal, man. Brutal. I love Mississippi State just as much as all of you do, and probably more than most. But the reality of it is this is embarrassing, man. It is. To be like this, it's embarrassing. You got to put up with all these smarmy nonsense on on Twitter. But Amani goes 0 for 4, Ledbetter 0 for 4, Bryce Chance 0 for 4. The top third of your order doesn't get a hit, doesn't get on base, no walks. That can't happen. Absolutely cannot happen. Luke Hancock goes 1 for 2 in the ball game. Slade Alford 1 for 4. Nate Chester 1 for 1 as a pinch hitter. Hunter Hines 2 for 4. Don't let him get going. Dakota was 0 for 2 with a pair of walks, and Ross Highfield 1 for 3, and Lane Forsythe 1 for 3. But not good, man. Not good. And like all of you, like I'm thinking, do I need to cancel my plans for Frisco? I mean, do I need to go spend the money to go cover this? You know, it's not about having angst. I mean, you start making business decisions about this. Who's going to read it, right? Am I going to go down there and spend all this money and go write stories that people aren't going to read? All right, game 2, things were much, much better in game 2, as they should have been. And this game was a real quick one. Now, again, we get down early in the ball game, but Graham Intima, and that's the correct pronunciation, Intima. I know a lot of people look at that Y and you'll know what to do with it. You know, is the Y silent? What's happening here? But it's Intima. Graham Intima. Insert him in, and I'll be honest with you, I didn't think he was impressive in his first 2 relief appearances. I'd heard so much about him, but I didn't think he was impressive. He was impressive on Saturday. He was outstanding on Saturday. And what do? We hit the first guy we see. But then we settle down. We get a fly out to center. We pick a guy off, and there's a ground out. And so we face the minimum, even though it wasn't a 1-2-3 inning. And then State comes out there, and I'll tell you guys, I did not think that Christian Curtis could beat us without our help. But I think you could make an argument he is their best starting pitcher. So Larry grounds out, Ledbetter walks, then DJ strikes out swinging. Ledbetter takes second. He'll be a 20-bag guy easy. Hancock walks. You got a chance here, and then Ledbetter takes third. Two stolen bases in the at-bat for him. And then Slade Alford grounds 1 to second. They force a runner at second. But we had some traffic on the bases. Top of second, so did A&M, and some of this is our own fault. We hit the first guy. It's back-to-back innings that we hit the leadoff guy deep in a count. This is on a full count. Rogers case swinging. Tobias strikes out looking. Think we're going to get a chance to get out of this thing. We give up the wild pitch, which moves long in a scoring position. And then Hill from Episcopal and Baton Rouge singles to the left side. This is a ball that gets you Lane Forsythe. Here's my complaint about this. Some people said it should be an error. Absolutely not an error. Absolutely not an error. There's not an official scorer in the country that would score that an error. Shouldn't have been. But he shouldn't let it roll, and DJ should have been charging on the play. There's no way that guy should score there. Absolutely not. Absolutely should not happen. That's not Bulldog baseball. It's not good defense. Then Hill still second, and then Jackson strikes out looking. So a lot of this, again, self-inflicted here. A hit by pitch, a wild pitch, and maybe we don't hustle for a ball. Yeah. Gives them a run. That's on us. And there were 3 components to it. It wasn't like it was one play. I mean, we were co-conspirators in our own demise there. Bottom of second, we go 1, 2, 3. Top of third, we give up a leadoff single, get a K swinging, another single, but we're able to get a force out here, and then Long flies out. And so while there was a couple runners on, we're able to pitch around those 2 singles. Bottom of third, State finally gets even here. Forsythe lines out, and then Amani Larry singles up the middle, goes to second on a wild pitch. Colton singles, and Larry comes around from second to score to tie the game. Ledbetter then still second. It's like you put him on, it might as well be extra bases. DJ strikes out, Ledbetter then goes to third on a wild pitch, and then Hancock strikes out looking. That's not going to happen very often. And then Graham settles down. It's like you go back and look at the pitches around these singles, and then he grounds out, he gets a ground out, a fly out, and he sits down, I think, the next 8. They go 1, 2, 3 in the fourth. State breaks it open here in the fourth. This is the decisive inning. And it starts with patience at the plate. Slade Alford walks. He gets ahead 3-1, ends up walking. Then Hunter Hines walks. So now you get runners at first and second. And Kellen flies out. And then they walk Bryce Chance to load the bases. And then Lane Forsythe, the much maligned Lane Forsythe, comes up, much like he did the day before with runners in scoring position, and rifles one in safely for a base hit, a couple runs scored to give us a lead. And then the whole old adage about hitting being contagious, yeah, there you go. And again, if you walk the first 2 hitters of an inning, you deserve to give up runs. They did. They end up walking the bases loaded. Lane comes through with an RBI single. 2 RBI single. Then Amani gets an RBI single. They change pictures and bring in Bodlovich. And then Ledbetter gets ahead 2-0 and then rocks one to right field. It's a 5-1 ball game. And then DJ singles. So it's 3 walks in the inning, and you get 4 consecutive singles. And exactly what you'd expect. State puts 4 runs on the board. And then Luke flies out on the first pitch to end it. And then Graham right back to work. You give him the lead, and he goes 1-2-3 with a couple of Ks. Bottom of 5, State goes 1-2-3. And Teating comes in the ball game. We got to him on Sunday, but really good job for him on Saturday. He actually goes 3 innings of hitless relief against us. We bring in Evan Sierra in the 6th, and you start thinking, where are these young guys coming from? I've told you guys before what a great job we did recruiting. I think we're seeing that this freshman class might be better than expected. Evan Sierra comes in there, gets a K, walks a guy, fly out, and then a strikeout. We go 1-2-3 in the 6th. In the 7th, Sierra's back out. It's a 1-2-3 inning. We get in the 7th, we go 1-2-3. Top of 8, Sierra back out there. There's an interference play because he runs inside the line there. Give up a single, and there's a fielder's choice and a ground out. And so Sierra has gotten you through the 6th, 7th, and 8th with not any issue whatsoever. This is a kid that was playing high school ball. He was getting ready for his promise time last year, and he's out there against a Power 5 team in a tight ball game throwing up zeros. You got to love it, man. Our bottom of 8, we finally get Teating out of there, but we still really couldn't get anything going. State goes 1-2-3 here. All right, top of 9, we bring Sierra back out, and you had to give him the 9th as well as he was pitching to save some wear and tear on some other guys. And we give up a single, we get a K, and there's a walk. And you got to go get him at that point. You do. And then Nate Dahm comes in and gets a K looking and a pop up to short. And the game is over. And we felt a whole lot better about life. Not just because we won, but we held the same team that you go back to Friday when we had a dozen walks and a hit by pitch. And then you look at Saturday. Guys, we had 2 walks. 2 walks. And one of those comes in the 9th inning when Sierra was winding down a little bit. 10 Ks against 2 walks. I mean, it's big time. So it wasn't just that we won. It's just that we pitched it as well as we did, and we got some big, timely base hits. You had the one big inning. We were able to kind of, piece some things together, and we get into Sunday. And I felt good about Sunday. I didn't think that their Sunday guy was going to be able to slow us down. I felt really good about Landon Gartman, and we are rewarded with our faith and optimism. One of the best games of the year. And again, back-to-back, Saturday and Sunday, State plays airless baseball. But you get into that Sunday game, and you know what you got with Landon Gartman. The stuff is not electric. There's a lot of swing and miss in his game, and you know he's going to compete. There's nothing worse than a scared pitcher. Not in college baseball, there's not. I mean, really at any level. A guy that's scared to compete is not going to challenge his own. He's not going to challenge hitters. He's going to nibble. He's going to walk the ballpark until somebody comes up there and gets him. And that's not Landon Gartman. Landon Gartman will compete. The kid's going to fight. So you come out and you get, 2 quick outs. We walk a guy and get up a single, and lo and behold, they run the UAAA play, the Little League play, where you get the delayed steal from second. You try to get in the rundown to allow the guy from third to score. And I don't know why we're not prepared for that. That stuff irritates me. That happened against Kentucky back in 2021, and I wanted to throw my laptop out of the press row. Our bottom of 1, State answers, again, top of the order. When Amani and Colton are playing well, we're playing well. Get a single from Larry, Ledbetter walks. Then DJ singles. Bases are loaded here. Hancock flies out. It's an RBI sac fly. And then Alford, sac fly for him too. And then Hines singles right back up the middle. I thought that was a huge play in the ball game because here they were thinking they're about to get off the field. And Hunter Hines extends the inning. So it's now a 3-1 game as Kellen Clark flies out to left field. Our top of second, Hill, the kid from Baton Rouge, with a solo shot. And rather than fold and panic and everything else, Gartman goes right back to work. We get a ground out, a K swing, and a K swinging. Good pitchers don't allow adversity to derail them. State goes 1-2-3 in the second. We get into the third. We kind of pitch around a little trouble here. We strike out Newman, and then leadoff hitter Keyshaw walks and still second. We get a fly out to center, and then it's another K. End the inning on a long at bat with a K. Our bottom of third, Ledbetter walks, still second. I mean, it's like an automatic double. And then this is a crazy play here. We had Manning on the ropes here. We did. we had him on the ropes, and this is just, the cruel game of baseball. This kid could not land a breaking ball for a called strike. He could not get us to offer it to change the pace stuff. All he could do is throw his fastball. And we've been through that before, too, at times. If all you can do is throw your fastball, you become a predictable pitcher. That's what happens. We've got him on the ropes here in the third, and DJ absolutely tattoos the baseball, but give them credit for advanced scouting. They had the second baseman position right behind the bag. He grabs it and steps on the base. It's a double play. Then Hancock strikes out looking. Top of 4, Garbman's still doing pretty good here. We get a strikeout swing and a fly out. You think we're out of it, and there's a long at bat. We walk him. Don't get the thing we want. And then Contreras singles to the right side. But they bring in Kian Vu, and we get him swinging too. We're out of the inning. Traffic on the bases, nobody scores. Our bottom of 4, State blows this thing wide open. And that's usually what happens, right? Is like when you get through the order a second and third time, if you hadn't put up runs, you're probably in trouble. And even though State had a 3-2 lead here, we needed some room, and really this was the knockout punch right here. And again, Manning unable to throw the breaking ball for a strike. When you can throw the breaking ball for a strike, that's the key to the kingdom, right? This wasn't the case for him. Offered sharply singles to center, then Hines singles down the right field line. And everybody moves up. We got runners on the corners, and Hines goes to second on a wild pitch. It was a close play. And then Kellum Clark with an infield hit drives in a run, makes it to 4-2. That they bring in Teating, who dominated us on Saturday. Even though we won the ball game, Teating was outstanding for them. Throwing that sinker, man, it was incredible. But we greet him rudely here. Bryce Chance singles to the left side, drives in a run, making it a 5-2 game. Forsythe gets a sac bunt down to move both runners along into scoring position. That's good baseball right there. And then Larry's hit by the pitch. They review it, and of course it's correct. And then at this point, you can't throw a breaking ball for a strike, and you've got an elite fastball hitter at the plate and nowhere to put him with one out. And they get, of course, it's a 3-0 count. So what do you do? Well, you throw that get me over strike fastball to make it 3-1. We're going to give you that. On 3-1, he can't run the risk of throwing the breaking ball. You're going to walk in a run. You're not going to get him out. Because nobody at this point in the ball game, three times through the order, is going to offer at that breaking ball. And then you can't spot up your change for a strike. So what do you have to do? You got to go challenge him, and you didn't live to tell about it, because Colton Ledbetter hit a moon shot to right. It was gone off the bat. If you were at Duty Noble Field, you know exactly what I mean. It went from contact to cheer. It was almost like the Elijah McNamee home run against Stanford. Like everybody in the ballpark knew it. I guess we were all anticipating it and expecting it. And as soon as he barreled it up, everybody knew. It's now a 9-2 ball game. They bring in Noah Liebenhoff, kind of mopping up a little bit. We got after him a little bit, but a fly out to right, single to center, and then we strike out. But 9-2, the ball game essentially is over. Even though you'd say, "Oh, with Steve in our bullpen, you never know." This isn't last year's bullpen. And I think it's time you had a little more confidence in some of these younger guys that are coming along here. We've got some dudes. It's just a matter of getting some experience. All right, top of 5. Gart still doing great. Foul out to the catcher, ground out to short. We get a infield single here. Then it's a ground out. And he ends up going over 100 pitches, which is a lot, but I don't think he throws hard enough to really hurt himself. We go 1, 2, 3 there in the 5th. In the 6th, we bring in Tyler Davis, again, who has not been good in either of his outings. He had one good inning in the first outing, but did not look good. And then he comes out and is absolutely dominant. Strikeout looking. We allow a single to right, and then it's a fly out to center, and it's a strikeout looking. Good first inning of this appearance for him. Bottom of 6, State scores again, and it's Lane Forsythe. No wind behind this one. This is all Lane as he deposits one in the left field lounge, makes it a 10-2 game. We get a ground out to third, Ledbetter walks, and then still second. It's insane. It is. And then Dakota Jordan strikes out swinging, and Hancock flies out, ends the inning. But again, State building on the lead. And that's one thing that good teams do is you never take your foot off the gas. You never take your foot off the gas. Until the coach starts putting in pinch hitters, you just keep grinding. All right, top of 7. Davis back out there. Get a fly out to left, a foul out off the right side there. We do walk a guy, but we get Crenshaw to fly out. So, again, back-to-back pretty good innings here for Davis. Bottom of 7, State continues to build. Slade Alford singles and Hunter Hines homers makes it a 12-2 ball game. Clark grounds out, Down strikes out swinging, and then Forsythe grounds out to third. Again, anytime it was hit to third, I expect it to be an out. That kid's really good. All right, top of 8, we start getting some liberal substitutions here. And then we bring in Kobe Holcomb. Need to get him going. That guy can really help us. Ground out the short, and we get up a home run. And a lot of people are like, oh, we get up the home run. Let me tell you this. In a 12-2 ball game, I want that guy pounding his own. I'm just trying to get the game over. I don't care if they hit a home run. You go out there and you pound his own, and we're up 10 runs. If they hit one out, so be it. We're only up 9. Don't go up there and walk people. Go compete. And so he challenged him, and he loses here. Then he comes right back and gets a ground out, and then they give up a single to right, and then we get a K looking. And so Holcomb, again, not exactly where we want him to be, but I'm not going to be upset about a home run in a 10-run ball game. Not going to do it. I don't want him up there nibbling, neither do you. Bottom of 8, State adds even more. Larry singles, Ledbetter singles, and everybody moves up on a wild pitch, which eliminates a possibility of a stolen base. Hyzak flies out the center. It's an RBI sac fly to make it a 13-3 ball game. And then Hancock is hit by the pitch to load the bases again. Excuse me. That's not correct. Make it runners on the corners. And then Chester walks to make it a bases loaded situation. Then Ross Highfield hammers one down the left field line, drives in a couple runs. It's now a 15-3 ball game. Von Siebert walks and then goes to second on a wild pitch, and Chester scores to make it a 16-3 ball game. And then we get a liberal here. Will Hope flies out the center. Top of 9, we bring in Will Gibbs. And nobody's really talking about this kid. He doesn't have elite velo, but he's got great movement. The slider is elite. Interesting to see what he's going to be after a year or two in the weight program. But, again, another young guy we've been able to count on. He gets Varnado to strike out swinging. We get up a single to right. And then there's a walk. And it's like, hey, let's just get this thing over. Get a fly out to right field and then a strikeout swinging at the end of the ball game. So State wins 16-3. And with Lane Forsythe hitting a home run, that means every Bulldog regular starter has a home run this year. That's pretty cool, right? Now, Lane's only had 2 home runs in his career. He's not going to make a living doing that. But the fact that up and down the order we do have some pop, we knew it was going to be an offensive lineup. It was. And you may not have remembered this, but on Saturday we had 14,320 fans, the 7th largest crowd in Duty Noble Field history. We had 11,000 on Sunday. Huge, huge weekend. I guarantee you not many people feel the same way we do about coming out and enjoying each other's company. So the Bulldogs win the series. And again, like all of you, I'm sitting thinking, if we could just find some consistency, because when we lose, we get blown out. And you start thinking, too, when we get good pitching, we're offensive enough that we're going to win ball games. And I think when you begin to think about facing Sunday pitching, we should be able to hammer Sunday pitching. And so it kind of boils down to, if you can avoid a meltdown on the mound on Friday and Saturday, you should have a chance to be competitive and win most of your series. But as offensive as we are, Sunday should be Bulldog Day. All right, Bulldogs will be back in action Tuesday. That's a 6 p.m. first pitch at Trustmark Park. That's tomorrow night. If you haven't done so, you can go online. You can Google Trustmark Park. You can find the ticket, and you can go to Ticketmaster, buy your tickets, come out and enjoy that. The last time we went down there and played, we got embarrassed. We didn't play well at all. And against Southern Miss we did. We played well against Ole Miss, even though we lost, but we didn't play well against Southern Miss. And then this weekend, of course, we will be at Riders Field in Frisco, Texas, take on Ohio State, Oklahoma, and Cal. Ohio State, I think 3-5 on the year. Oklahoma 4-4. California has played well. They upset Stanford down at the Sunken Diamond. That's a Sunday game. But you start thinking, hey, if we can go 3-1 this week, it's a good week. And even though Ohio State is not a power, Oklahoma did play for a national championship last year. They did lose a lot from last year. But Cal has always just kind of been an also-ran in the Pac-12, kind of middle-of-the-pack type team. So it'll be an interesting weekend. I think we'll have a much better idea of what our team truly is this weekend. Can Entema go back out there and do it again? Chances are he's going to be facing Oklahoma. If the same rotation as last week is Cade Smith against Ohio State, Entema against Oklahoma, and then Gartman against California. And that's a big ballpark too. Riders Field's a huge ballpark. So we're going to be in minor league parks the entire week, and we'll be in attendance. Me and the lovely bride will be at all 4 games. We'll have full coverage everywhere. And so be sure and stick with genespage.com. If you're looking to watch the games this weekend, the Frisco College Baseball Classic, D1 Baseball is going to stream it. I don't know if you got to pay for it. I don't know it at all. But that's going to be your only opportunity. So you're going to have to depend on us and depend on the radio to kind of keep you up to speed if you're not in attendance and you're not going to stream with D1 Baseball. Next week is a much different week. We get all 4 of our games are at home. That's Valpo on Tuesday and then Lipscomb. And the next thing you know, we head to Biloxi before we begin SEC play. So we'll see how things go. But not happy with the results on Friday, but happy to get a series win. I was hoping for a 4-1 week. I thought we'd sweep UL Monroe and take 2 out of 3 from Arizona State. And then all of a sudden you lose to UL Monroe and you start thinking, man, we're going to have to sweep to make this thing happen. But the reality of it is we weren't able to do that. But again, I think Arizona State is a much improved team with all those transfers. Now we need those guys to go get hot, right? We need them to go help us and be a resume builder for us. And again, Arizona State's going to have dudes, man. I mean, they are. They've won 5 national championships. They've done a great job. In recent years, Arizona's probably been the better of the in-state schools out there when it comes to college baseball. Jay Johnson did a great job there before he went to LSU. But big win for us, and very happy for us to turn things around. And Mississippi State now, you got to build on this, right? You got to build on this. We have to go beat Southern Miss. And good chance you may see both Bradley Lofton and Gerangelo Sanjay. You may see them both. But one of those guys is going to start. We'll see how things go. And the fact that we didn't have to use Nate Dome a whole lot, and we didn't have to use Nixon at all. So the bullpen sets up pretty well for us tomorrow. And I don't know if you know this. Maybe you did. Guys, Southern Miss gave up 35 runs to Illinois over the weekend. Were you aware of that? Weekend pitching at Southern Miss at home gave up 35 runs to a middle-of-the-pack Big Ten team. So many people thinking Southern Miss this year is going to be their year. I think last year was their best chance, and, of course, they blew it. They beat LSU, and then they lose to Ole Miss, the eventual national champions. No shame in that. But a lot of things didn't go their way in the postseason, but this has not been good, guys. This is not good. They're 5-2. They sweep Liberty, and they beat UNO, and then they get Illinois. And on Friday, they get beat 13-5. They win on Saturday in 11, 14-13, but still give up 13 and then lose 9-4. So Southern Miss pitching gave up 35 runs. And it wasn't just like one game that was an anomaly. You give up 9+ every game. Woof. Not sure who's going to start for them tomorrow, but they don't have the pitching they had from last year. In the first weekend, you thought, hey, man, Southern Miss pitching's good. Only allowed three runs on the weekend to Liberty. Well, how good's Liberty? They shut out UNO, and you're like, wow, 4 games in, just 3 runs scored. And then Illinois absolutely ambushes them. So they'll come out with something to prove tomorrow night, but this is a pitching staff that can be had. And as offensive as we are, got a chance to go in there and win this ballgame. We need to go win this ballgame. And the fact that we're even debating this, when I was younger, I know when Fred Cooley and Damon Pollard and those guys were at Southern Miss, it was a great teams. But the bottom line is we always expected to beat Southern Miss. We did, and this needs to be the case too. And again, you keep the juice going. You find a way to go win this one, then have a winning weekend out there in Frisco. With the schedule you have next week, it sets up pretty well to give us a little juice heading into conference play. So no time like the present to make some cool things happen. So we'll see. All right, final segment show brought to you as always by our friends at Portico. Brooks Bryan, my friend, your friend, a friend of Mississippi State, former Diamond Dawg. Went to Omaha twice. The guy knows what a special place Mississippi State and Starkville is. Part of a great group of individuals bringing this wonderful residential development to Starkville. Very easy to find. You turn off 82 on a 12 light going to campus. The very first right is Pat Station Road. Go to the 4-way stop. There is Portico on your right-hand side. Give yourself a self-guided tour next time you're in town. 1.1 miles away from the Mississippi State campus. How cool is that? Pretty awesome, right? To be that close. Buy you a place up here. Go to all the ball games, men's games, women's games, baseball, football. All your friends, all your family want to come stay with you. How nice would that be to be a destination for the people that you love when they're coming to Mississippi State. You can start with a 2-bedroom, 2-bath home, go all the way up to a 4-bedroom, 4-bath home, and really everything in between. Phase 1's completely sold out. Phase 2 under development now. Most of those homes are sold too, but there's still one for you. And maybe if you're not in a big hurry, you want to take a little time, you can pick out a lot. You can pick out a housing plan. They'll get going on that for you too. Give our friend Brooks Bryant a call at 601-416-8075. Again, that's 601-416-8075. You got some great baseball stories for you too. And I'll tell you this too, Brooks is still engaged, man. Brooks is still very much, anytime Mississippi State is playing a major sporting event, he's going to be here. That's just how it is. I love it, man. I do. Give Brooks a call today and make Portico your next move. Okay. We didn't win against LSU. Okay. I'm not going to sit here and say I told you so. That's not what I'm here to do. I thought the ladies competed well, did the best they could. And at the end of the day, our season is a success. No matter what happens the rest of the way, this season, in my estimation, is a success. Now, that said, I'm not done winning golf ball games. And I don't think you are either. And we lose to LSU down there in front of a record crowd on senior day, and they have had an outstanding year. We lose by 25. And that's okay. We're not at that level right now. I know we want to be, but we're not there. We went out there and competed. We did the best we could. And we're not going to spend a lot of time conducting an autopsy on this game. It was a competitive game. We had the lead after the first quarter, and then they go up 6 at the break. And in the third quarter, we're right there with them. But then eventually, we just couldn't close the gap. And a good team, but we went and competed. We didn't just say, okay, well, this is the end of it. It's not. Jessica Carter with 10, Jacayla Jordan with 16. We had several Bulldogs get in the scoring column. Okay, but it is what it is. But it's over, right? All right, so the regular season slate is in the books. We're 20-9, 9-7. 14-2 at home, 3-6 away, 3-1 on neutral floor. We're going to play the SEC tournament on neutral floor. So let's look ahead to the SEC women's tournament. Your Bulldogs, we talked about it last week. They could finish anywhere from 5th to 7th in the seeding. Well, you finished 5th. With Ole Miss beating Alabama, we kind of leapfrogged them. And so, hey, it works out. And we always talked about finishing in the top half of the league. How is the number 5 team in the SEC, arguably the best women's basketball conference in the country, not an NCAA tournament? Doesn't make much sense to me. However, I think we need to win a game in Greenville in order to remove all doubt. Now, it all gets started on Wednesday. It's an early morning game, and you might want to pay attention to that first game of the tournament, Vanderbilt versus Texas A&M, because the winner of that game is going to play your Bulldogs in Game 2 on Thursday. The second game on Wednesday will be Florida versus Kentucky. That's a 14 versus 11 matchup. I'm happy with our draw, even though I think A&M and Vanderbilt both have played better down the stretch. But we got to win those games, and we have, right? We've beaten those teams. But so those games will be big. But you get into Thursday, Arkansas. That's an 8 versus 9 game. That's Arkansas versus Missouri. I think you're pulling for Missouri there. Are you not? I mean, even though you're a little bit ahead of Arkansas, I mean, I want everybody that's around us to lose. And of course, State will play the winner of the Vanderbilt A&M game. That'll be 25 minutes after the Arkansas-Missouri game. And, of course, those times are all set for Eastern because it's in Greenville, South Carolina. So Thursday afternoon, we'll play a game. I think you win that game, regardless of who it's against. I think you win that game. I think you remove all doubt. I think we're in now. But I think you win a game in the tournament, I think you're definitely in. You win 2 in the tournament, there's absolutely no question. You're playing for seeding at that point. I'll be shocked if we win a game in an SEC tournament and don't make the big dance. All right, Georgia will play Auburn in the nightcap on Thursday, and then we get into the big guns on Friday. South Carolina will play in Game 1, and then Ole Miss and LSU and Tennessee. All of them, of course, playing their first game of the tournament. They'll be fresh. That bye is so huge. We know from experience. So Alabama, looking at the schedule here, Alabama will play the winner of Florida-Kentucky, and that rounds out that part of the bracket. And then South Carolina could be our next opponent. If we manage to beat Vanderbilt or A&M, that we would play South Carolina. And obviously you beat them, absolutely, in the tournament. So the chances of us winning 2, probably pretty slim. But I don't know that anybody has played South Carolina as well as we have in this league. So, and that was on the road. Excuse me, that was at our place. But you never know. We're playing much better basketball now. But South Carolina's a machine. So probably our best hope is to win one in the tournament and then come home and wait for our seeding. But that's kind of how I see it today. So chances of us advancing, not strong, but as the reason you play the game. So we just got to go take care of business and beat either Vanderbilt or Texas A&M, and then just kind of hope for the best. But I think, again, you win that game, and I think you can feel good about life. I think you feel really good about where you stand. And again, this season is a success. No matter what happens the rest of the way in the postseason, year 1 under Sam Purcell, an absolute success. You're starting to see the fans begin to come back. And the fact that we post 20 wins and a winning record in the SEC and finish 5th in the standings after all the adversity, it's a step in the right direction. I go back, again, this time last year, we're getting ready to make 2 coaching hires, and everybody wondered. And a year later, it's obvious that we've hired both of the best individuals. Tremendous. And real quickly here, when I begin to think about, women's basketball and how much that used to be, appointment television for everybody, I think it's okay to start feeling that way again. And when the SEC tournament is here, I keep it on. Even when I'm up here working and writing, I've got it on, so I can hear it when I'm writing, or I'll pull it up on a tab on my computer and kind of check in. It doesn't matter if it's the men's tournament, the women's tournament, or softball or whatever. I've always got it on because I want to know what's going on around the league. But it's okay to start believing again. I know we've been burned. There were so many of us after Vic Sabre, well, this is it. This is it. And you know what? That may be the end of the golden years of Mississippi State women's basketball. That may be the truth. But I'm not ready to buy that. I think Sam Purcell, the way that he's recruiting, I think we're going to be right back in the national landscape. And the fact that we can get a 5th-place finish in this absolute war zone of a league in year 1 makes you feel even better about next year. And, of course, it's going to be a different roster. We're going to have changes. But the reality of it is that we've got a great coach. We do. And here we are again getting ready to go play in the SEC tournament, and it means something to us. It absolutely does. It means something to us. And, again, that game is huge. That game is huge. It really is. And a lot of people think, we're in. Maybe we are. But I believe we remove all doubt with a win on Thursday. And, again, a lot of rooting interest for you this week, obviously. The men's basketball team, we got a couple things, and then a lot of baseball. So you're going to have something outside of today. You're going to have something kind of look forward to and think about every day. It's going to be a big sports watching week for you. And so wish you all the best, and you have a great week. But I'll be on the road for all 4 games this week. So if you're coming to Trustmark Park, I'll be out there. You can say hello. I'm working, but I'll be out there. And we'll be down in Frisco. And I know there's going to be a big contingent of Bulldog fans out in Frisco. When we were out there, goodness, a couple of years ago, I guess 3 years ago, man, it was brutal. I mean, the weather out there was absolutely brutal. And we ended up canceling the Sunday game. You may recall that. But we did. We canceled the Sunday game, and we're happy we did. I got in the car and came on back home and surprised everybody. But the reality of it is that it wasn't good baseball weather. But looking at the 10-day forecast and or the weekend forecast, it's going to be better than last time, but it's not going to be crisp. The Friday, the highs are in the 30s, lows are in the high 30s, and then the highs are in the high 50s. And then Saturday, overnight low of 38, high of 63. Same thing on Sunday, basically. So should be much better baseball weather, probably similar to what you saw this weekend at Duty Noble Field. So doesn't appear to be any rain in the forecast, so let's go out there and have a good time. I might even stay an extra day. You never know. I may go see if I can't go get into the Cowboys facility and see what's happening up there. You never know, right? But I'm looking forward to being on the road, and I love road baseball. If you don't cover road baseball and you don't follow the Bulldogs, I can tell you there's nothing cooler to me than going into somebody else's venue and beating them at their place. Listen, I love winning at Duty Noble Field, but I expect that. But when we go on the road And those Bulldog fans out there that are maybe in a foreign territory, right? You know what I'm talking about? You're out there and you're like a big maroon cork floating in a sea of orange and white or purple and gold. And you go down there, it's very satisfying to get up and go to work the next day. And we go in there and win that ball game. So I encourage you, as always, get out on the road and support the Bulldogs on the road in all sporting events, not just baseball, but when the Bulldogs come to your town or within a reasonable driving distance, let's encourage you to get out and go do that. I know how much it means to those parents. I know what it means to those players and coaches. If you hadn't done so, go to dogpilebook.com and you can get all my sports books there. Flim Flam, Stark Villains, Alpha Dogs, and Dogpile. Bloomsville Leander are always available through Amazon.com, BarnesandNoble.com, BooksAMillion.com. Get your Stark Villains gear at StarkVillains.com. And that's actually officially trademarked. Maybe you didn't know that. I'm looking at it right now. From the United States Patent and Trademark Office, Stark Villain. Had the trademark now for 3 years. I like it. And if you're not a member of GenesPage.com, come join us. Listen, sometimes the discussion gets a little bit spirited, shall we say. But come be a part of our wonderful community. Our experts are there to answer your questions. And at times, listen, when you guys have questions, we in turn will ask them at press conferences. I mean, not the stupid stuff, right? I mean, what the hell were you thinking? Now, we're not going to say that. It's not an interrogation. It's a press conference. It's a professional undertaking. But we're going to ask the questions. We're going to ask the questions to get you the answers that you feel like that you need and you deserve. So be sure and come check us out at GenesPage.com. And again, I don't know that anybody's going to have the full coverage that we're going to have this week. I don't think Robbie's going to Greenville. I don't think so. Robbie, and listen, offer our condolences and well wishes to his family. He lost his grandfather here recently. So I don't think Robbie's going to go to Greenville, but we'll definitely have you taken care of. We'll definitely have you taken care of with full coverage this week. And, of course, everybody will be on the road doing something at some point. But baseball's got you covered. And then Paul Jones, of course, will have that South Carolina game for you. And then we'll wrap up in Nashville. I don't know that anybody's going to go cover Nashville, but we'll be in Frisco. And looking forward to that. But, again, could be a really, really big week for Bulldog Athletics in every aspect. I mean, begin to think about that. If the Bulldogs can go 3-1 or 4-0 this week, would that not light a fire under you? If the Mississippi State men's basketball team could win both games this week and remove all doubt about their tournament worthiness, would that not light a fire under you? And the ladies go out there and win a game and, maybe two. I'm not expecting it. But, if you begin to think about a best-case scenario for State, that's exactly how it plays out. 3-1 or better in baseball, and if you win both games on the men's side and then win a game in a tournament, I mean, how could you feel in any way whatsoever? It wasn't a great week. So that's your rooting interest. Let's go have a great week together, folks. But until next time, let's all live our lives in a way we'll make more friends than enemies, and people can see a difference in the way we live.